Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Summer's going well. How about you?
Hot, but it's kind of cooling off a tiny bit, so I'm doing all right. Ray?
Agreed. It's starting to get there. I think we finally dropped out of the triple digits down to 2 now, so that's exciting.
Okay, so if you are a celebrity from the 80s, you better watch the fuck out because you are in big trouble lately. They are just dropping like flies. I mean, we had a couple people in the last week or two and a little beyond that, but just in the past week in terms of people who were, I mean, like Ozzy was one, but I mean, we don't really associate Ozzy with film, but we lost Loni Anderson and Hulk Hogan, which kind of both blew my mind. I mean, particularly Hulk Hogan, because I feel like I just saw him pretty recently and he seemed great. Like he looked really good.
Yeah, he's one of those immortal pop cultural icons you thought was always there and was always going to be there. A world without Hulk Hogan feels weird. Hulk Hogan, the character, and Terry Bollea, the human being, not necessarily the same guy. I think the Hulk Hogan character that he played, the cartoon character, and then later on when he was the Hollywood Hogan villain character, were not the a little bit less complicated, let's say, than the man behind the act.
Yeah. Ray, do you know who Hulk Hogan is, by the way? Have you heard of him? I know he's a little before your time.
It sounds familiar. I think I might recognize like a song or two. Like, didn't he play guitar or something like that?
He was a country singer and a NASCAR driver. Yeah.
No, I was going to say the Immortals, as we call them, Ozzy Osbourne. We never thought Ozzy Osbourne, Keith Richards. Keep your fingers crossed, dude. Like, come on. Like, these are people that have done so many drugs and lived through like the wildest of times, and they've just outlived so many people. And like you said, now they're starting to drop, and it kind of makes you, kind of take a breath and hang on a minute. But Hulk Hogan, yeah, a real American hero. He's a sad loss for sure.
Mm.
Anybody who grew up in the 90s definitely was familiar with the Hulk Hogan shtick. And then later on, like I said, when he became a bad guy, that was even crazier. That made wrestling really cool. Like it was kind of like dangerous and grungy.
Yeah, I have to admit, I really didn't. I mean, I was when I was young. I mean, WrestleMania was Hulk Hogan practically invented WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure the very first one was when Hulk Hogan teamed up with Mr. T.
Yep.
I think that was the very first one, and then
it was.
Once we kind of got into like Hollywood Hogan, I kind of was like, no. I'm pretty sure if I remember right, there wasn't like a whole different company. Wasn't it like a dispute, and he went to a different organization or something?
Yeah, he left the WWF, now WWE, and went to work for the WCW, and then people started to get tired of the eat your vitamins and say your prayers, and they rebranded him as a bad guy, and the numbers just went gangbusters after that because it was a complete rebrand refresh that gave his career a whole new life.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of those guys, like I said, that you just thought was going to be around forever, and he knew how to manipulate television. He was just a master of captivating an audience. Movies, not so much.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! What was the TV show he had? Like Tropic Thunder.
Thunder in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise with the crazy boat.
Yeah.
It was like the Kit of the Sea.
It was like Baywatch meets Knight Rider.
Yes, exactly. But he was also in what was it, like Three Ninjas? Or one of those like 80s kids karate movies. He played a role in. I'm gonna have to Google it. I didn't look it up, but
He's in a bunch of those. He had Mr. Nanny. He had No Holds
Mr.
Barred,
Nanny.
and there is a ninja one. It's Three Ninjas, Beverly Hills Ninja, something. There is a ninja Hulk Hogan. Suburban Commando was another one.
It was three ninjas.
He knew how to captivate a live audience. He knew how to manipulate TV. I'm not so sure film was his greatest strength. Unless we're talking about Rocky 3.
There you go. There you go. Thunder Lips. I mean, that's you don't get better than that. You kind of peak when you come out strong as Thunder Lips. You know, it's hard to follow that.
Hi. So, how's it going?
Oh, same old thing, answering the phone and fighting off Herb.
Herb ought to be ashamed of himself.
The other one that we lost, Ray, her name was Loni Anderson, and she was best known for a TV show called WKRP in Cincinnati. I have to sort of say these things to Ray because he's kind of like half my age, so he might not.
I'm 40, Joe. You old
just
fart.
announced to the world that he's 80 years old.
America's favorite old fart. But that surprised me too. But I guess it really shouldn't, because I mean, she outlived Burt Reynolds by a substantial margin, and I think she was 80 on the dot. I think she died at 80. I think.
Yeah, I think right at 80.
Yeah,
I kind of knew. I knew Loni Anderson from Nick at Night reruns of WKRP, and also as being Burt Reynolds' ex-wife, constantly in the tabloids in the 90s. That acrimonious divorce that kind of bankrupt him until he was in Boogie Nights, and that kind of brought him back to Hollywood mainstream. But he was making a lot of schlock to pay off those alimony checks to Loni Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty ugly divorce. I do remember that. I remember him being on a lot of shows saying a lot of things, and I kind of felt like, dude, cut it out. Like,
if you ever have the time to check out, right around the time of Burt Reynolds' divorce from Loni Anderson, he went on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and got into a fight with the game show host Mark Summers live on The Tonight Show. It's hysterical.
Was that the one where he dumps the coffee in his lap?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's hilarious.
But that wasn't Burt. Well, he's not really the main topic, but Burt Reynolds has had a couple run-ins with late night hosts. Didn't he have like a whipped cream episode with somebody, or what was it? Shaving
the same incident.
Oh God.
And I remember, and the two of them were together in at least one movie. Remember, it was not a very good movie, but it was, remember Stroker Ace?
I've done some dumb things in my life. This is the dumbest.
I want you.
You do?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Pretty weird. It was almost like you could see the Burt Reynolds formula they were trying to go for, but they kind of swapped out some people, and it just didn't quite work as well. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. I could see Jim Nabors, I think, was the guy who was sort of doing like the Dom DeLuise role in it, and it didn't quite work. Yeah,
it's the knockoff, not quite as good as Smokey and the Bandit or Cannonball Run. It's like we've gone down this road one too many times. There's not that much left in the well. It's like when you make a copy of a copy of a copy, it never looks as good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Loni Anderson, she was pretty stunning, so that is a loss.
State Department is pulling an agent that specializes in responding to escalated cartel activity.
This is not my department.
FBI!
You want to be a part of this?
Do we get an opportunity at the men responsible for today?
The men who are really responsible for today.
Ever been to Juarez before?
We're going to El Paso, right? You're not American. What do you work for now?
Oh, I go where I'm sent.
An idealistic FBI agent is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between U.S. and Mexico. Written by Taylor Sheridan, directed by Denis Villeneuve, 2015's Sicario, which I kind of shockingly had never seen before until today. I finally sat down and watched it today, knowing we were going to talk about it. So, gentlemen, tell me about Sicario.
Well, with that in mind, after having just seen it for the very first time and knowing that there's a Sicario 2 and there's a Sicario 3 on the way, would you watch the sequels?
The movie's phenomenal. So, if he did the second one, which I think he did, then yes, I would certainly see the second one.
I'd recommend it. It's not as good, but it's solid.
For sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Ray, what did you think about Sicario?
Sicario is one of those movies that I'll put on once a month if there's nothing on TV and I'm just scrolling through, whatever streaming service at the time, and I'm like, ooh, Sicario. I'll pop that on, and it's a movie that right at the beginning it grabs you by the throat and it's strangling you, and you're like, oh my god, the tension, everything, and just when you think it's going to loosen its grip, it just squeezes harder. And it does that over and over and over. And so much of it you would think is just like Hollywood. It's not that typical Hollywood action movie. It's not that Hollywood drama. Like, this is stuff that's pulled from newspapers and put right in front of you, or put in right there, front and center. This is what you're seeing. And one of the characters, Alejandro, says it best to me. This sums up the entire movie. Nothing will make sense to your American ears, and you'll doubt everything that we do, but in the end, you'll understand. That quote sums up the entire movie.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I was pretty blown away by this film, and I think I'm almost glad. I had heard previously that the film was very violent, very intense. So it probably made me just a little squeamish going in. But I didn't find it to be nearly as bad as people said. In fact, I actually rewatched a couple of reviews today. Probably the people I was listening to back then, who were going on and on and on about how dark it was. And it's certainly dark as opposed to being light. I mean, but I didn't find it to be shockingly dark or horrible or anything like that. I thought it was okay. I mean, nothing really shocked me to my core that I can't sleep at night. I heard people comparing this to like Seven, and I'm like, no, I would not go there. I thought it was just a marvelous movie. I mean, honestly, it was. I love how the sort of mystery, maybe not mystery, but how the facts kind of unraveled little by little, and you started to see what was at play, and yeah, I just thought it was masterfully done. I thought it was a really incredible piece of work. Incidentally, too, by the way, one of the reasons that we picked this film to watch is because Denis Villeneuve was picked to do the next James Bond. So naturally, we want, and again, I hadn't seen this before, and I said I really should, just so I see what kind of work this guy does. I mean, I've seen a couple things that he had done before, but this one I think was probably the one that was going to be a little bit closer to a Bondish kind of action film. So, yeah, good hands there.
Yeah,
Sure.
I love this film also, and you heard that it was violent and it is dark, and it is both of those things. But it's not done in poor taste. And this is the subject matter is violent and dark and evil. I mean, we're talking about human trafficking. We're talking about drug smuggling. We're like really serious, high level crime. So it would be hard to tackle that subject matter and do it in a way that didn't involve violence and darkness. There are parts of it that are disturbing. I think finding the bodies behind the sheetrock in houses is really, really screwed up. But it's not done in poor taste. Like, there's a reason. None of it is gratuitous. None of it's over the top. It's not gore for the sake of gore. It's telling a story. Right. Everything here is here for a reason, and it's to set the environment and to move the story forward. So, great movie. Love this movie.
And I think that's a big part of it. I was a little I was apprehensive because I was expecting violence, gratuitous violence to the point of being sadistic, and just overly violent for the sake of overly violent. I think Tarantino has gone down that road where that's just basically the point of his films at this point, is just gratuitous violence that we're all sort of cheering for because of the build up to it, etc. This was not that. Yeah, I agree that everything went in line with the story. There were some tough scenes. There was some torture and stuff. But again, even that I thought was done pretty well. There was some things that happened a little off camera. So, well crafted.
So it's interesting you bring that up. You said that there's torture in there. There is, but what are you talking about? Because there's one scene where Alejandro has the drug lord guy. You have Brolin's character Matt in the office. They switch off the cameras. They walk out the door. That scene, like, you hear it, you don't see anything, but it's visceral. Like, he walks up to him and he does that, like, I'm the alpha thing, where he puts his crotch right in his face, just separates his legs, walks up to him. He's sitting in the chair. Like, I mean, he's fully clothed, obviously, but, like, crotch is right in this dude's face, and he's just hands on his hips, staring down at him. He's like, what the fuck are you going to do now? Like, you're mine. I own you right now. And then the next thing, you just hear the moaning and the hard slaps. You don't see anything that's going on, but I don't see any torture in this movie. It's all left for your imagination. So I'm just curious, like, is there something that like got to you that we were just like, oh man, that was rough? Because you don't actually see it. It's all left up to your imagination.
Yeah, no, that was exactly my point when I said that there was things that happened purposely off screen that again implies that what's happening there without rubbing it in your face. So I thought that worked really well. In fact, it was interesting because I remember the camera goes down to like the drain on the floor.
Yes.
And I kind of sat there waiting for something to go down the drain or something or other, but it really didn't do that. It was
you're waiting for like that little trickle of something, but it doesn't come. You just see the water and everything, and it's a really cool moment.
Yeah. So, and I think, I mean, the other one that I popped into my mind was when John Barenthal, I forget, is that his name? He popped up in this for a little bit. I remember thinking like, oh, I didn't realize he was in this. Cool. And but he wasn't really not a major player in it. But the scene, he's getting a little roughed up in the back of the car. Again, nothing overly crazy. I mean, again, most of the action happens a little off camera, so it was handled well. I mean, the film is an exercise in tense moments, in moments where you're kind of on the edge of your seat because something pretty terrible could happen at any second. So it just kind of keeps you kind of bristled and ready, bracing yourself for what might come next. But it never really gets like full blown in your face. It was pretty smart.
We've spoken quite a bit about Hollywood sometimes going in the wrong direction when they try and make a movie with a strong female lead. This is how to do it. This is the movie to make. You've got a strong female lead who is every bit as capable as her male colleagues, superiors, whatever. I mean, she's able to figure out the mystery, even at the very beginning when Matt is recruiting because he needs somebody to go along to give his mission jurisdiction. He wants her. He doesn't care about anybody else in the department. He doesn't care about her partner. He wants Kate.
Yeah,
she is kind of a pain in the ass, though.
Well, I felt I kind of walked away with a much different thought than you did, though.
All right.
I kind of, in fact, if anything, I kind of thought, boy, that strong female lead kind of went right out the window in this movie, because I kind of felt like, if anything, whatever she might have been before she gets with this group, I kind of felt like she was constantly getting just put over somebody's knee and spanked every 5 minutes. From the scene, John Barenthal, like she kind of loses herself in the moment with John Barenthal. She almost gets herself murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to come in and rescue her. When she has like outbursts, he just kind of grabs her and it, like, almost like a dog, like, okay, calm, are you ready? I'll let you back up. You calm, that sort of thing. And then later, when she kind of goes after what's his face with the gun, saying drop the gun, he just shoots her. He shoots her in the vest, knocks her over, literally just says, don't ever point your weapon at me again, catch your breath and run along. I mean, it was like I felt like she just kept getting put in her place constantly. And I mean, it was effective in the story, because I mean, the story wants you to feel you're kind of walking with her in this film. You're kind of the everyman, and she's kind of leading you through the story. And it gives you a sense of like just being constantly outgunned and overwhelmed by the circumstances, all the stuff going on. It's just too much for a normal person to sort of handle, and these people who do this are just kind of supernatural. So yeah, I didn't think it painted her exactly in a very good light, but again, that was the story, was that she was just totally out of her element with these guys. And I think it even goes a little deeper than that, but I'll come to that in a little bit. But yeah, this was hardly her being a girl boss. It was quite the opposite.
No, it's not a story about female empowerment, but she hasn't been corrupted yet. She's still a little bit more naive. She's not going down this path of things that are extrajudicial, extra legal, not exactly within the purview of law enforcement. She is still very much good, evil, black, white, very much on the side of the angels, and stays that way throughout the movie. So I think that actually portrays her as a pretty incorruptible character.
Joe, I'm on your side with this one. If you want a strong female lead, you need Ripley from Aliens. Kate is not that strong lead in this movie. I agree with you. I think it's putting the viewer in the role of the WTF is going on, high stakes. She doesn't exactly know where everything's going, what the legality is. She knows that she's in there for a reason. She wants to arrest the bad guy. But doing all these things, like Kyle, you said, like that are corruptish, maybe, but you need to make these things happen. One of my favorite quotes happens at the beginning of the film that Matt says. Kate asks him, "What's our mission?" He replies back, "To dramatically overreact."
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's flawless. That's what it is. You make the stink, and then everything else just crumbles. And she's not prepared to do that.
And that may or may not be admirable. I mean, we're supposed to root for her because she's good, and because she hasn't gone down this road and has decided that perhaps she isn't cut out for the type of dirty work that needs to be done in this situation.
And that's a critical point too. And one of the takeaways that I kind of walked away with from this was, she's, to your point, she's incorruptible, but it almost makes you question, but what does that exactly mean? Like she's insisting that they do everything by the book. But what book is that? Meaning, like, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for your own ideals just to strictly do things by the book and never bend any rules and make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted? But what are you giving up in the process? And you have a guy, yeah. I mean, and you have a guy who's you find out as the story moves forward that this is essentially for him nothing more than a revenge mission. Right. He's there for that, and that's it. And I enjoy that revelation, as the story's moving forward. And So it's almost like when you're now when you're sort of pinning her against him, you say to yourself, well, who's right? Is it her?
Yeah.
Because she's simply saying, we can't do this or that because that's not by the book. When this guy's trying to avenge the murder, the sick murder
Horrific
of
murder.
his horrific murder of his wife and daughter,
And he has no rules. She has the rules, he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I thought that was kind of an interesting conundrum too. Up until the point, and I'll say this too. I almost got to the end when I got to the end of the film, the sort of final confrontation of the two of them. That part I would almost say was a little confusing for me, meaning I wasn't quite positive what I was meant to take away from that. Like it was like he's there with the piece of paper saying you have to sign this, saying everything was done by the book, and she's saying no, to the point where he puts the gun to her head, literally to up, saying you have to sign this, and she begrudgingly does. And it was almost like I remember sitting there kind of thinking, like, what is this telling me? Because obviously, if she signs it under duress, obviously she could just say, I signed it under duress. This guy put a gun to my head. So that's that. It almost doesn't carry any weight. It was almost more like we wanted these characters to have this conversation about, we did it by the book, and yes, I skirted the law doing it, but I need you to go along with it, etc. And I almost kind of felt like I get a resolution to that conversation or not? And I kind of felt like I didn't, but maybe a minor point in the big scheme of things, but
I take that as her breaking point.
Yeah.
Like Alejandro's a ghost. He doesn't exist. He's just there to do the killing for the agency. He's not like on the books type guy. So by him doing that, she could be like, "Oh, I did it under duress. He had a gun to buy. Who had a gun to you? He doesn't exist." So I think I took it as that's her breaking point. Like she's finally going to come around, begrudgingly, but to the mission.
And it's the movie asking us, do the ends justify the means? How far should we take the war on drugs? How far do you pursue revenge before it loses its sense of justice and just becomes about vengeance and violence? So I think that's really the point of that scene. It's just to ask that question: how far are we willing to go to pursue a just cause using unjust tactics?
Yeah. I think it's also showing us just how I think at this point they're kind of telling us that Benicio del Toro's character is, but he's not even human anymore. He has kind of lost his humanity because of everything that's happened, understandably. But I think that's part of it, because I mean, again, he quite literally starts a scene by saying, "You remind me of the daughter they took away from me," and then he says, "You look like a little girl when you're scared." And it's almost like he's trying to reach out to her and connect on a human level. But then again, he has no problem putting the gun right up under her chin, telling her to sign the thing, but he wipes her tears as he's doing it, So I think it's kind of, you're sort of asking yourself, like, what is this man now? Is he, am I supposed to sympathize with him anymore? Is he just a horrible monster at this point because of everything that happened? I mean, the fact that he was very easily able to execute the family is pretty cold. I mean, the whole point of that scene, obviously, is, I mean, that's cold stuff. And it's interesting because I remember watching that and feeling a tiny bit torn, saying to myself, I kind of almost felt like he killed the guy a little too soon. It was almost like I thought he could have let him wallow a little bit in that, the horror of that moment before he kind of finished him off.
And I wonder if Alejandro really would have shot Kate, or if he knew, because he knows who she is, that there's no way she's going to do anything other than what I tell her to do. I don't know if that is is it really a serious, credible threat, or does he just know this is what I have to do. I know she's going to sign it. I'm not really going to have to shoot this person. I don't know.
No, I think no, I think that is a great point too. I sort of had the same, and I think the film wants you to do that. I think the film wants you to sit there and wonder, like, can he pull the trigger? Like, is this guy? Because I mean, if he murders her in cold blood, it doesn't help his cause at all. So
Right.
you know, like logically, he probably wouldn't. But it's more about like again how far off of the rails has this guy gone? Can he bring it back now? And maybe the film is telling us maybe not so much.
I think we're supposed to wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too. I mean, honestly, that was again, it's funny. I was just sitting here criticizing Tarantino, but early Tarantino, like Pulp Fiction Tarantino, Reservoir Dogs Tarantino. The beauty of those films was that you genuinely did not know what these characters were going to do. I mean, they at any minute they could go off the rails and things can happen. So this was very much like that. Like I thought, like I have no clue what's coming around the next corner. There was nothing about this film to me that was predictable at all. I thought it was pretty, in that respect, pretty well done. I might have the John Barenthal character. I remember thinking like, that happened a little too. He was a little too interested, a little too fast, and I kind of thought maybe something was up there.
I think she's a little too interested, a little too fast.
Well, I mean, honestly, I thought the way they set that up was interesting because they had just spent. Like this was right after the you need to buy a new bra scene because the guy you're walking around the same underwear I've seen you in for like weeks. You're wearing the same T-shirt that I've seen you in. You need to this, and it was almost fun. It was almost funny. It was almost like when they were doing that. I remember kind of feeling like, what does this have to do with the story? Like that seemed like kind of a noticeable break from everything this movie has been up until now. Now suddenly we're kind of getting into her private life and how she needs to get out and relax and this and the other thing and maybe date or something or other. And then all of a sudden there's John Barenthal. So it was almost like they were kind of leading us up to, so we understand why she kind of went there at that moment, like her life has been this and that and the other. So if a guy shows interest, she's just going to fall over and things are going to happen. But so, I mean, it made logical sense, but I kind of feel like if there was anything that was even a teeny bit telegraphed, it could have been that because it just felt like again, why am I watching this in this movie unless this relates to something?
It's paid off well, and it's the closest thing in the movie that we get to comic relief. There really is not very much light levity in this movie, so it's nice to have that tiny little bit, and it does have a payoff that services the plot. And it kind of draws her deeper into the fight because now she's been personally targeted, which might motivate her to behave in a way she wouldn't have prior to being personally targeted.
Well, I think she's stressed out. She's just, like they said at the interview, she's been kicking doors since day one. Now she's recruited into this whole big mess that she knows nothing about and nobody's telling her anything. And she goes out for a beer. She just wants to get laid. And this is we'll get to it towards the end, but Reggie's a problem for me. But I think that his whole character arc is to be a pain in the ass and to set up that meeting with Ted, John Barenthal, just to have that happen. But if you want to talk about comic relief, we got to talk about Steve, Jeffrey Donovan. Burn Notice.
Great character.
Love that guy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I like him too. Burn Notice is a great show. And he's fantastic in this.
And if you're into like military history and stuff like that, you always have to watch out for the dude that looks like an accountant. He will kill you. If you're interested, look up Mike Vining from Delta Force. The dude looks like a chemistry teacher, and he's one of the most lethal dudes to ever exist. It's an amazing story. But that's what I loved about that character. He's so unassuming with his big glasses. And the first time you meet him, he's like, "Hey, how's it going? It burns when I pee." That's a hell of a way to start off a conversation. Yeah. What does it look like? Yellow with red flecks. The red flecks is blood. Is it gonorrhea? I mean, he's a great character.
I just love the line, "This isn't even going to make the papers in El Paso."
Oh, yeah. Oh, and one of the best scenes in the movie, too.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a
Yeah,
fantastic
that
scene.
was a great one. I remember kind of feeling like, okay, I'm getting what this movie is, because that was really, really well done. That was cool.
Ray, did that make when we did our favorite movie shootouts? Did that make your list? I feel like it did.
I think it did, yeah. Just the suspense and everything. It's just built up and built up. The whole movie is really like a roller coaster. It's the high of whatever the scene is, and then it drops to the character development and the story plot, and then it brings you back up, and then drops back down. But it's never low enough where you lose interest. It's just phenomenally done. But that one scene to me just makes the entire movie.
Yeah.
It starts off with that wide shot. I mean, it has them cruising at full speed, going through the border. Now they're stuck in traffic. Then it goes to the wide shot where you just see how screwed they are, where it's bumper to bumper traffic as far as you can see. And they know something's going to happen. Alejandro even says they're not going to try anything here when they're picking them up. If anything, they're going to do it at the border. And then when they're at the border, you see the two cars pull up, and it's not even music. It's just whoa, that deep guttural thing. But in this, it works. It just makes you so uneasy. It makes you uncomfortable. And they do it throughout the film, and it works exceptionally well in that scene, because you already know, like, oh, well, they're going to be screwed. But then you just have that sound going in the background, and then all hell breaks loose. And it's phenomenally done. It's done correctly. It's done accurately. They know the rules of engagement. They act on it. I mean, as soon as the bad guys pop out of the car, they're out with guns. Like, they are waiting for that moment, and it's like the door opened like an inch, like out of the car, guns drawn, ready to go. It's so well done. And then it's still suspense. And for 3 seconds, I don't think that scene lasts any longer than that, the actual shootout. It's boom, 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 it's done. We're back in the cars, and we're moving. And it's just so well done. And to me, I can't even, well, I don't want to blow my for your consideration early, but damn, that's a great scene.
It is a great scene. And it is a little bit more realistic in what a shootout actually would be like. They're not these like slow motion with guns held to the side and diving away from bullets. It's zip, 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 and it's over in a matter of seconds.
I'm not a soldier. This is not what I do.
Juarez is what happens when they dig in. This is it.
Gotta be careful around these people. CIA is not supposed to work this side of the fence.
Just want to know what I'm getting into.
You will not survive here.
I'll say this too, Ray. You mentioned the score, and you reminded me. There was at one point, I think it was right before they went down into the tunnels, and they showed them kind of walking into the sunset a little bit, and it was very clever and well done, because they showed them sort of these silhouettes walking off into the sunset, and they kind of disappear for a second, and then I think as they sort of reappear later, it's through like the night vision goggles. Like they had like two different kind of visions that they were doing right there, and I thought that was really cool. But I remember at one point the score right around there, it was almost like it turned into a John Williams-y sort of score, just for like a little bit. And I remember kind of noticing it, kind of going like, that's a little different. Why did we go there for that part of the score? But anyway, very minor point. But yeah, that tunnel scene was also really well done. That was also when I was sort of remembering too, like, oh yeah, this is Roger Deakins. So he's coming up with very interesting ways to convey what's happening here. I thought there was like I said, there was like two different kind of night visions. One was like almost like it was kind of that green, that green one that you're used to, and then one that almost looked like it was like literally just a negative. You can
see the heat, the footprints and stuff like that, and then you also had the green from the night vision. Yeah, very cool way to do it.
Yeah, Deakins is a master at this. He's probably the best DP out there.
I agree. I cannot think of anybody who is even in his league at this point.
And it's nice to see him working with Denis Villeneuve. Maybe they'll collaborate on Bond. Let's hope.
All right, so the Gush Fest is moving forward. I'm having trouble coming up with a lot.
It's hard to criticize this movie. I mean, this is I think one of, if not the best movies of the 2010s. I mean, it definitely deserves to be in the conversation of the high points of cinema in the last 15 years.
Absolutely. And it was so under the radar, too. Like, a buddy of mine was just like, you need to watch this movie, and gave me the DVD. I didn't even know when it came out. We just popped it in on like a Friday night, and I was like, holy shit, this movie is amazing.
Yeah.
And it came out at a time where we kind of had an appetite for this type of product, because were either of you guys Breaking Bad fans?
Yes.
Because this is very much within that same universe. If you told me that this took place as a side story to Breaking Bad, I'd be like, yep, I see it. We're totally in that world. It's telling a different story, but it's a story set within those rules. So I think that was kind of like really the heyday of Breaking Bad. Having this movie come out in 2015 was striking while the iron was hot.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I think, again, it's in an era where everything is sequels and remakes and all that good stuff. I mean, it's wonderful to see something that's just fresh and original. And yeah, and I think people appreciate stories that, again, they have the gravity of reality in there. I mean, again, I don't know if it's like totally believable. If I had somebody sitting next to me who's in that, is it all exactly how this? They might say yes or no, but when you're watching it, I mean, it feels real as concrete. So yeah, well, really well done. And again, to your point, also no happy endings. I mean, I love the last frame of the film is that kid, who we saw earlier. Father's gone now, and he just goes off to play soccer, and they're playing soccer, and it's like you just forget some of that stuff for like just a couple seconds, and then you hear just machine gun fire off in the distance, and everyone just turns and looks and kind of just goes back to the day. Like, this is just the reality that we live in,
Medusa, you cut the head off the snake, another one grows.
Exactly. It shows you the human cost on a small scale of what this life and these crimes really have, but it reminds you that it just goes on. Life goes on, and it will never go away. It just the names of the players change. Kind of a fatalistic outlook, but there you go.
Very true. Yeah, it's not a happy. Again, for something that I said in the beginning was not as dark as I thought it was going to be. It certainly was not a happy film. Nothing about this is light in any way, shape, or form.
It's not gory, but it's not funny either.
No, and it's not exactly a life affirming story by any stretch.
It's funny that you had said that about it at the beginning when you were talking about like how you heard how gory it was. I kind of had the same reaction to Saw, and for a long time I didn't watch it. It was like years after it came out, and I finally sat down and watched it. I'm like, well, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. Like, it was a good movie. I think it's just one of those things. Like, it gets in your head. You hear the stories and all that, but you know what? Like, you should sit down and watch it, and it's a game changer for cinema.
Yeah, the film like that for me was Clockwork Orange. I just kept avoiding it until I finally saw it, and then thought, okay, it's disturbing, but it's not. You build these things up in your head much worse than they really are. Yeah. Kind of like a torture scene that you don't really see. You only hear or see the aftermath, and it's very implied, but it's not explicit. Implicit, not explicit. It's the same thing. Your head is always going to make it much, much worse than it really is.
Agreed.
True.
Is it too early to score? Is there anything that we want to mention before we kind of get into that?
Should we talk about some of the other performers? We haven't really touched on Emily Blunt, James Brolin, or Josh Brolin, the younger one. Victor Garber shows up in this movie in a small part, but kind of a crucial one. I think the cast here is really, really solid.
Yeah, I Great point. Yeah, I thought Josh Brolin was really he was. I felt like he has incredible presence in this film. You know, every time he was talking, I was kind of just glued to watching him and listening to him speak. And it was kind of fascinating too that you know, it's funny. I was watching something and they were sort of talking about like who's the actual protagonist in this film. And I think the movie kind of plays with you a little bit. I mean, I think the obvious choice is Kate's character, but then as things sort of progress, you know, Josh Brolin has a presence, you know, pretty good presence, but then Alejandro kind of seems to be the guy who's really the guy behind the guy. Like he all of a sudden he's the one who's sort of making critical things happen, and he's the one who's sort of moving the story forward. It's almost like you didn't know that it was him all along, but it was like, yeah, this is really about him and his tale and him getting closure on something that had happened.
Agreed.
So yeah, I thought the story, the screenplay is masterful in that way. But yeah, no, the performances was great. Honestly, Josh Brolin was really incredible in this, and yeah, Victor Garber was. It was kind of cool seeing him pop up for a little bit. You know, he was sort of perfect for that kind of role that he does. But it was great.
Yep.
But, and also yeah, that Reggie character, I remember kind of feeling like he was another one that I couldn't quite figure out because he was there, but it was almost like I felt like he was only there so that Kate had somebody to talk to. You know, like he didn't have a lot to contribute. And honestly, when you got to the bit with John Bernthal's character, it almost I kind of thought like, am I supposed to now second guess this guy? Like maybe he's crooked too because he was the one who introduced them. He was real tight with John Bernthal, and then suddenly he's a baddie. But yeah, but again, to your point, I think all the performances are fantastic.
Well, I noticed something about Reggie this time around, and I've seen this movie a bunch, but I had never picked up on this until last night or the night before when I watched it. And it's at the very beginning, after they clear the house of bodies, Kate walks outside and throws up. Like she's physically ill. Reggie sees this and pretends to throw up. He's not as disturbed by it as she is because he's been through a couple of tours in Iraq, but he's doing it to make his partner feel better. And I think that moment right there, he's kind of telling her like, it's okay to feel this way. It is fucked up. It is really bad. Yeah. It's making me sick too, even though it isn't. I think that right there, we're being told this guy's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. But he's a really good partner, and he's going to be there for her.
No, it's a good point.
Little things. And again, it took me this, no exaggeration, probably the 6th or 7th time I've seen this movie. So it took that many viewings for me to notice that one tiny moment.
Yeah,
and he's also the one that recognizes like, don't open that don't cut that lock that's in the shed right before the explosion.
Right.
Like he's like,
again,
no. And then
he knows
he's
what
been
an
there.
IED is. He's been in Iraq.
Exactly.
He knows what a booby trap is like. So I think, yeah, he's a good guy. We're told right from the beginning, he's a good guy.
And it's funny too that you mentioned that
maybe
scene
too good. Maybe he knows too much, and that's why he's not chosen for the task force, and she is, because she's a little bit more idealistic, a little bit more naive. He's more seasoned and world weary, and asks too many questions.
And maybe that's why Matt says, like, I want her, not the partner. We don't need any lawyers on this mission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I did think it was funny that, not funny, but in a sick way that that opening scene, though, when everybody's outside and you see everybody, just like 6 cops, half a dozen cops just throwing up in the backyard. Like, as somebody that's actually like smelt that before on the job, like it's something you never forget, and it's gross. Like, I have to put a mask on anytime we have to deal with a dead body, that many, and then him to be out there, like you said, just like like doing the fake dry heave thing, and then being able to recognize in that instance too, like no, don't do that. Like, to his credit, and he's not my favorite character. Good on him, you know.
Yeah. I came away liking him a lot more this time around because I noticed that in the beginning.
You used me as bait.
Freeze!
You saw things you shouldn't have seen.
All right, gentlemen, time to score Sicario. Miguel Diaz, do you want to go first?
Easy one for me. It's a 10. There's nothing in this movie that I would do different. I think it's perfect.
Easy enough. Ray, what do you got? Kate's new bra.
Nothing in this world is a 10, but I do love this movie, so I'm going a 9.3. It has everything you want. It's excellent. It's realistic. I think it draws from the news to the point where it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to watch, and that's what makes it so good.
Nice. Yeah, I think I will also go with a 9. I'm very tempted to go 10, but I kind of feel like there are still the film intentionally leaves you with unanswered questions, so it's not a like a perfectly tied together with a bow at the end kind of a film. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a phenomenal film and phenomenal watching experience. So yeah, I'll give it a 9.
Glad you liked it.
I did. I really did. And it's one of those, like, now that I've seen it, why did I wait so long on it?
It's worth everybody's time.
Yeah. But
unlike the Thomas Crown Affair.
It's not even in the same ballpark. They're both great films, but that's like comparing hot dogs and ice cream.
All right, so who asked you, or for your consideration? For your consideration, what do we got?
Who's going first?
Good one. Ray, go first.
For your consideration, the action scenes alone are worth it for this movie. It's a roller coaster ride from start to finish. Like I said, the action scenes will put you on a high, and just as you're starting to think you're about to get bored, you go right back in. And all that, what you think is going to lead to boredom, is nothing but character development and story building, and then you get another action scene. And it does that from start to finish. And every action scene is expertly crafted to the point where it's masterfully done. It's beautiful, it's violent, and it's not gory. So it's worth your time.
Nice. Kyle, what do you got?
Benicio del Toro. I think this at this point in his career has become his signature role. Alejandro is the greatest performance he's ever given, even though he did, I believe, win an Oscar for Traffic, which is kind of a similar movie set in the same kind of surroundings. This is even better than that. And I was really excited when he came back to do a sequel, and I hope that he's going to be in the third. I already know I'm going to see it. Can't wait.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I will. I will. I'm kind of torn. I mean, I do want to. I'm in the same boat. It's like it's either the action or the performances. And since he didn't get a mention yet, I'll go with Josh Brolin. I thought every time he was talking, I honestly just felt kind of riveted by what he was saying, and I thought his performance was really incredible. I agree that Benicio del Toro is the showstopper in this, but I think Josh Brolin was damn good in this. All the casting in this was really, really good.
Yeah, nobody's phoning it in here. Everybody is bringing their A game. There are really good performances in this film.
Absolutely.
So who asked you? What? Who wants to go first on that one?
Oh, I got nothing. I gave it a 10. That's my shortcut.
There you go.
Right. All right, I'll jump in then. Okay, so Joe, I think you had mentioned it, that Alejandro is really the main character, and I think you're absolutely correct. I think we the viewer are watching everything that's happening through Kate's eyes, and Alejandro is the main character. The thing that I can't stand is Reggie. As much as Kate is a pain in the ass in the film, for me, as a viewer, I'm like, Jesus Christ, just go along with it. Like, you're needed to do this. This is what we want to happen. You want to end all this? then go along with it. Stop being a pain in the ass. But the person that's really the pain in the ass is Reggie, who's instigating her constantly throughout the whole movie. He's a wannabe alpha male. He's always getting in Matt's face, Brolin's character. And Brolin's just like, shut the fuck up. All right, fine. You really want to do this? Here's what we're doing. Fine. I'll give you a little piece of information. Will you shut up now? He's a pain in the ass. I get that he's Kate's partner, and he does have her back. I'll give him that. But still, the entire time from start to finish, it's annoying. It's to the point where it's annoying. And one of my favorite scenes is when they're pulling up to the military base, and Matt has Kate's name on the list, and he's like, "She's on it, you're not." And he's like, "Well, what the hell am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "It's fine, it's fine." And she walks up to the base and has him turn around. I'm like, we don't need him. I think his sole purpose of having the Reggie character is to get into that situation with John Bernthal, the Punisher. What was his name? Ted. Ted at the bar. His whole reason for being there was, this is her partner. Yes, they're close. I'm setting it up so that she's now going to try to bang a drug lord's underling, and he's going to try to kill her because it was on the security tape. That was the whole reason he was in the movie. You could have cut him from that and still had that happen. He was a useless character, and he was annoying the whole time. That's my Who Asked You.
Yeah, and it's a great point, because again, I feel like the whole, that's why I say, like, again, this is neither of these two characters, Kate or Reggie, these are not strong characters. In fact, they're meant to be. They look like French poodles trying to nip the heels of the Rottweilers. I mean, these other guys are just animals, and these two just don't even play around. Like, again, how many times did they get sort of slapped down, throughout this film? Right. And that's kind of what they're trying to tell us. So yeah, that's a great point. I will probably simply go with, and I almost don't want to say this, because so I'm gonna say it's the ambiguousness of the film that kind of left me sort of not sure what they're trying to tell me. Like, particularly like the ending when he's got her signing the paper with wiping the tears with one hand and the gun to her head in the other hand, and I'm kind of going, okay, what am I not getting? I like films that have ambiguous endings and leave you thinking. So I don't want to make this sound like it's a criticism. But I'll just say the one thing that maybe holds me back from giving it a 10 is that little bit where I'm not sure what I could just need a couple more days to process it, because again, this is the first time I'm seeing this film, but I just felt like I don't know what the takeaway is, to the point where I'm not even sure if I see Emily Blunt as a hero in this film. It's almost like she's not even the real protagonist of the film. I don't know if her motives are as pure as she thinks they are. I mean, in her mind, she thinks everything has to be done by the book, but who says? How is that serving the greater good if that's all you're going to do, if that's all you're bringing to the table? You know what I'm saying? So again, I like that the film was thought-provoking in that way, but I probably need to kind of maybe see it again and give it some thought before I can full-blown say, okay, I'm past all these questions, and now I can maybe at some point I'll come back and say, oh, this is easily a 10. Maybe right now it's only a 9 because I haven't quite let it get through my noggin yet. So yeah, I mean, that again is not exactly a harsh criticism, but just kind of just where my head is right now with this film.
You use me as bait.
Freeze!
You saw things you shouldn't have seen.
He works for that composition.
Providing a measure of order that we could control.
I'm gonna tell everyone what you did.
That would be a major mistake.
Gentlemen, I think that was Sicario. Nice job. And again, I'm glad that you guys pulled this one out and kind of got me to watch this, because I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and I'm kind of surprised I hadn't seen it yet.
It's a great one. And if the next James Bond movie pulls some DNA from this, I don't think it should be as bleak or nihilistic as Sicario, But as far as filmmaking prowess, we're in really good hands.
Agreed.
We said the same thing about Fukunaga, or whatever the hell his name is. We were so excited about him.
Yeah.
And he directed it.
My
direction was
problem,
fantastic.
No Time to Die.
Was the script.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So as long as the script is good, I think we're in safe hands as far as direction.
Yes, and I think everybody's pleased with the writer choice. So I think I have a hunch we're in for some good stuff with that. Incidentally, I think our first video podcast worked out fairly well. I think next time I'll try to work on my lighting so I don't look like I like I was out on a bender last night. But
it's August, Joe. You should be nice and tan.
You seriously, right?
Joe, I think if you touch a dead deer, you'll bring it back to life.
All right, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.
Cheers. Thanks for having us. Always a good time.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. You can also find our episodes on our YouTube channel. Check the link in the description. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and are considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.